And in a sense, this is an indication of the long-standing bonds that exist between our two countries. I know that you personally have spent lots of time in the United Kingdom, and you know that I've spent lots of time in the US, and I'm very, very fond of the country. Our bilateral relations are in a wonderful place, having struck our economic prosperity deal and working hard on a new technology partnership, which will be very, very exciting indeed.
Did you see that? Did you?
Good evening, people. How are you brewing? Thanks for choosing to kick off the weekend here on the Brews at 10, the live stream that you can set your watch to. Potentially a revolution every 12 hours. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Lefty. You're all very welcome here this evening. And we've got a poll up. If you're just arriving, please do share your thoughts as to whether you think your party will win more seats than the Conservative Party at the next general election. So far, most of you feeling pretty positive about that one. We've got Divinia in the chat. Katie Mobius, great to see you as well, Flow Snake. And JK. Also we've got Wolf Pets. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you all this evening. Solidari-Tea. Right, let's brew this thing, people. A mountain of things to get through this eve. I've not been with you for a while. I did meet up with some of my activist friends on Wednesday and was busy with other stuff yesterday, but here I am. It's going to be worth the wait. and I can tell you more about that later in the stream. So please do stick around, make sure you hit the thumbs up button as well, people. That's really important. It's helping us get around. And we now need, people, just 82 more subscribers to get to 5,000. Yeah, so please do. Launch us, spread us all around your Twitter, your Blue Sky, whatever it might be. Give us a follow while you're there as well at Lefty UK. So just one more bit of a push and yeah, we'll get there, we'll get to the 5k.
Can you dig it?
It's people like you that help make landmarks like that, milestones I should say, possible to reach, as well as these great people, the marvellous members. Let's just get that up. So just checking you can hear me okay here, people. The members scroll video isn't working for some reason, apologies, but I do still want to give a shout out to you all. Just give me some feedback in the chat. I want to make sure that you can hear me. Just in case there's any problems with the broadcast software. I'm going to post in the chat. Sound is fine, thanks for the feedback. Sorry for the pauses there, just checking everything. But unfortunately, like I said, the members scroll isn't apparently working. Just one sec. Do a very quick reboot, people. Just take a few seconds. See? And we're back. Expert technicians here on the channel. The best trained primates that I've seen this week, that's for sure. And in that case, Let's just check again. Excellent. Terrific. We've got the members scroll up. Shout out to everybody on the list. Thanks to people who've gifted memberships recently and renewed your own. In fact, some of you have been members on the channel ever since I started doing live streams, so really do appreciate that. Moshi on Toast has joined us, as well as Doc Davies. Yes, there was a minor technical issue, but I can't play the technical issue video and the members video at the same time, because that'd just be a cacophony. Thanks again, people. That takes us up to 102, I believe. And on that note, will that you good viewers be seen on the screen? Let's bring up the chat. There you are, people. Oh yes, Doc. The technical team have been on a top-notch course. It really was the best £3.60 I've ever spent on training them. And that's good advice from Mobius as well. Just make sure that you've hit thumbs up as you come on, to the stream tonight, people. I can see a few people currently watching live. I might want to double check. So a lot to get into, people. Where to begin? Well, I will be starting with David Lammy's meeting with JD Vance, going into some other stuff about Trump as well. And there has been tons going on, actually. More response from something we discussed briefly on the last live stream, that is Israel's planned expansion to annex the entirety of Gaza. Well, the announcement. As we are more than aware, it's been a plan of theirs for some time. So the latest on that. Of course, the housing minister has stood down after this housing scandal was revealed. A little bit about that, as well as the upcoming protests over the weekend as well. Including the latest, much anticipated Defend Our Juries protest, which will be taking place tomorrow. What else do we have, people? Lindsay Hoyle as well has doubled down on that refusal to disclose emails he had with Israeli officials. Just curling the moustache, saying it's interesting. It's an interesting fact. Alright, people. Comedy clip as well, coming up in just a couple of moments. Another quick reminder to fill out the poll as you join us on stream. Will your party win more seats than the Conservative Party at the next general election? So far, the ayes have it on 87% to 13. Very one-sided. That's very one-sided, considering we're just a quarter of an hour in. I do have a poll or two to skim over as well. I believe I do. Just let me double check my bookmarks and such. Yes, I do have at least one. Have one about a specific seat as well. Do you want to guess whose it is? I'll give you a startlingly blatant clue if you want.
But shut up, Wesley!
The boy Wesley is going down in Ilford North. More on that later in the stream. First of all, latest clip from Noreen Skinner, who's a great impersonator, and this is my particularly favourite impersonation that she does, her take on Rachel Reeves. So please do go and check her out. I think she's on a comedy tour as well. Look out for plugs about that at the end of the vid, and I'll pause it if there are, but for now enjoy this one.
I'm home. Anybody in? Hello, old friend. I did a good job today. Someone asked me to prepare my CV, so that can only mean that I'm getting a promotion. I just need to find out what CV stands for. I smashed expectations. People didn't think I would mess up this much, and I really blew the whole thing wide open. So I guess that can only be a positive. I made a boo-boo on the calculator. Apparently the plus and minus sign mean different things. Anyway, I have managed to get our £22 billion black hole to £40 billion. That wasn't supposed to happen, but at least I've got fiscal rules. I love fiscal rules. I could eat fiscal rules for breakfast, lunch and supper. I dream about fiscal rules. What are fiscal rules? The good news is that everyone knows it's the Tories' fault, and I never go back on my promises because of fiscal rules. So, respect the game, respect the player. It's simple. I'll just raise tax. I found the cross button on the calculator. I'll just do that a few times for people. Apparently, we're currently in deficit. Now, I don't know why toilet behaviour has to come into finance. It's childish. I mean, I hardly deficit these days due to stress. Anyway, good night. Fiscal rules, please. I like your fiscal rules.
Very good. Do give Noreen Skinner a follow. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or all at Noreen Skinner. One word. Go and subscribe to that shit, people. Michael Hanson, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us in the chats, where I also see Palestine flags and watermelons. Solidarity for that. And, Solidarity to Noreen. Reeves has come into this landlordism issue, can I put it that? Issue? Scandal? That I mentioned earlier. Get onto that in a little bit. And also Adrian Ramsey, current Green Party leader candidate or co-candidate, alongside Ellie Jones, has also been brought into this conversation as well, quite recently. More on that to come. Just a quick bit on Lammy's meeting with JD Vance. Did you see the picture of them out fishing? They were fishing together, like good old chums. I'm not sure if they actually use one in the article. Here they are in these high-back chairs that they're all very fond of at the moment. Vance highlighted very strongly, it has to be said, that the United States won't be following the United Kingdom in recognising Palestine as a state. Not that that has happened yet, but it has been, air quotes, promised, but there are conditions and caveats which have to be met. However, as far as Trump, the United States and JD Vance concerned, that shit's right out. It's not happening. He poo-poos it, Mr. Speaker. Now, for what it's worth, we'll just go through what he actually said. He says, "I don't know what it would mean to really recognise a Palestinian state, given the lack of a functional government there. But there is, whether they like who it is or not, and believe me, the United States certainly take issue with who runs other countries. Not just here in the 2020s, but very historically, especially when you look at the post-World War II period and onwards right up to now. You don't even have to look that far back for various examples. But nonetheless, I think I've played the clip twice on two separate recent live streams of the 4 criteria that have to be met, and Palestine does meet all 4, so JD Vance is talking out of his US arse. And he's just saying the same as you'll hear from Netanyahu, same as you'll hear from Israel. They want to see Hamas eradicated so that Israeli civilians don't get attacked again. Well, don't get pushed back on again, but also to solve the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. I'll get into more about that a little later. Not sure if I should actually... No, I won't do a spoiler. On why I'm going to be referring to that particular part of the quote, but there they are, fishing. I saw another good meme earlier. It was like this shot or a similar shot to this with speech bubbles on. JD Vance says to David Lammy, "You're not very good at this, are you?" And David Lammy says, "Well, this is actually my first time fishing, believe it or not." And JD Vance replies, "I wasn't talking about fishing." Ba-boom. But that wasn't one of mine, so go easy. Oh, what else have they been talking about, though? I mean, one quick point before I get into more of the article. I brought this up on social media earlier. Just this image here. I suggested they should put that one, or maybe other similar ones, onto the campaign material before the next general election. Put that on the posters, put it on flyers, put it in the background on David Lammy's TV electioneering broadcasts, and just see how that works out for him, because really by now it's almost as if he's trying to lose his seat. And does he genuinely sit there and think to himself, why am I so unpopular at the moment? You know, I've been shaking hands with Netanyahu, fishing with JD Vance. I've been saying kind words about the President of the United States of America and looking forward to trade, of all things. Oh yeah. It's like looking forward to throwing yourself into a meat grinder. If you're going to trade with the United States at the moment, you might as well ask a fucking magic 8-ball what's going to happen next. It'll probably be more accurate. So I just wanted to point that out. And I'm being serious as well. Is it that he knows that he's in for even more money than his, what will it be, somewhere between 93 and 97k a year plus extra in this position? But if he's feathered himself a pretty little nest that he can then go into post-politics and go into making perhaps 7 figures every year, or maybe even more. Who knows? But if he is trying to make himself look good, he certainly isn't doing a great job of it. What do you say, people? Just a bit more on the article. Vance has previously been critical of the UK over free speech issues, of course. Why don't you take him into London tomorrow afternoon and see what he has to say then? More on that later. That's Defend Our Juries, who I'm referring to there, of course. Free speech. Okay. So this was in February, and Vance accused European governments, including the UK, of retreating from their values and ignoring voter concerns on migration and free speech. Yeah, the so-called legitimate concerns. Sorry, JD, doesn't fool me. You can dress your racism and xenophobia up as whatever you like, anything you like at all, but it's as transparent to the rest of us as anything. So in response to those criticisms, he said, the thing he says to the people of England or anybody else, to David Lammy, is many of the things that I worry most about were happening in the United States from 2020 to 2024. I just don't want other countries to follow us down what I think is a very dark path under the Biden administration. is he talking about the same country as I'm thinking about when he says United States? I'm not sure he is. They also discussed Ukraine and the possibility of a meeting between Trump and Putin. That'll be a direct meeting. They've spoken on the phone a few times, but again, without progress. What Lammy and other European nations fear is that Putin will seek to use Trump to force terms on Ukraine without its presence at the table, and in a way that seriously undermines Europe's security. The article says so. That's where they're meeting. It's a very modest residence, as you can see. Chevening House dates back nearly 400 years and is set in its own grounds. So it's pretty scant on detail what the bones of the discussions have been about. And you can call me a tin hat as much as you like, but I'd suggest that's relatively suspicious. I mean, we know for a fact, through freedom of information requests and so on, that they're both lobbied by the same people. Speaking of freedom of information requests, I'll come on to the next story now, which is just another quick one on UK politics. Lindsay Hoyle. And a great bit of journalism. Shout out again to Declassified UK. They put forward a Freedom of Information Act because they wanted to know what the Speaker of the House of Commons is doing speaking to Israeli officials directly through email. It's made all the more suspicious, of course, by the very, very controversial railroading of the SNP motion on a vote to end arms sales to Israel, which took place last year. So let's see what's happening. How's he responded? He already said that public exemption did not apply. Oh, here's another one. He boasted that his father helped found Labour Friends of Israel in the 1950s. If you want to find out just what they've been up to in British politics in the not too distant past, then please do check out the Labour Files documentary, which was by Al Jazeera, I believe. Not something that you'd really want to gloat about. So now there are strong calls for him to resign. Just what is going on there? If the Speaker of the House of our so-called democracy is in direct communication with other governments, then we want to know why. We want to know what they're talking about. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask. To deny that is only going to arouse further suspicion. Not just from me. Wolfpet, yes, I did hear about that at the time, that there was a direct intervention at some point from Israel, and that's why he blocked the SNP motion and then made that terrible fake apology and let's just forget about it and move on speech, which of course meant still not having the vote. I deeply regret. Yeah. The man who sounds like he's eating soup while he speaks. And his job is to speak. That really is a face palmer for me. I remember very quickly within him taking his position that this wasn't going to be great. John Bercow was out, Lindsay Hall was in, and yeah, just within a couple of sessions it was like, oh no, what, 5 years of this guy? And ironically, he's a member of the Labour Party, and the former Bercow was a Tory at the time and has since defected to Labour. I think I pointed that out on the channel when it happened. That would have been in the very early days though, if I did. Because it was of course a strong indication of just how aligned the Tories and Labour were back then. And look now, you know, we'd all be at the Told You So awards, won't we people, but we'd rather not have the gloating rights, we'd rather have a better society and a cleaner planet, you know. So what should we go on to next? We'll do this one next year. Play a clip. I don't want to do too many articles in a row. It's not very visually entertaining. But this next one is from the batshit crazy files people. It's not Elon and Musk anymore, but they're both still fighting strong in their own batshit crazy individual ways. The latest one on Trump and ICE is, you know, we say that reality has surpassed parody, and here's another great and classic example. No, this is not a parody, just to repeat that, people. One moment. Just sort the music out here. There we go. Yeah, so this is not a parody. This is not a joke. The head of the Trump burger franchise is being deported by Trump. You could not make it up. So let's see what's happening there, people.
New at 11, the owner of a popular Trump-themed restaurant chain is now facing deportation. Roland Bieni owns several Trump burgers around the Houston area, but immigration officials say he overstayed his visa after entering the U.S. from Lebanon in 2019. Bieni has been arrested and now faces removal proceedings. In a statement, ICE says they are committed to holding all individuals accountable who enter the country illegally, regardless of political beliefs.
Yes. It's almost some sort of very dark, morbid form of art at this point. Just, you know, words like irony and parody don't even begin to cover it. And also, people, did any of you catch any of the latest South Park episode? It's the second episode in the latest season, and so far it looks like they're on fire. And the last one was all about ICE, ICE, and a dig at right-wing grifters as well. Right-wing podcasters and so on and so forth. And Eric Cartman gets particularly irate that they're all stealing his shtick, as it were. Plus, in a really well put and comedic way, they more or less challenge the network and Donald Trump to get them cancelled, get them pulled off the air, whatever. Really good stuff. And we've got Ian McKenna who's joined us, and Stu as well, since last went through the chat. Hope you're brewing nicely this evening. Thanks for joining us. Whilst I'm here, latest on the poll, still very strongly in favour of the ayes. The ayes currently have it as to whether your party will win more seats at the next general election than the Tories. That's my abbreviated version of the question, at least. Of course, concerning South Park and Trump, the first episode in the latest series really is a classic as well. About sorry, just remembered a random part of it there. It's gonna set me off. It's very good. Do check it out. But I'm not going to corpse on a live stream. This is a serious channel all about politics, society and the environment from a left-wing perspective. He's one of those eco-socialists. And Heddy just jumping in as well as Holy 123 ZXC. And what's going down in the States? Conservatives are definitely winning, especially Texas, but you're not involved with that. Thanks for joining us on the stream. Thanks for the information. If you're from the States or anywhere else outside the UK, thanks for being with us. It's great to have an international audience. Jeannie Bottle with us as well, just jumping in. Awesome to see you. Smash that thumbs up button as you join us, people. Going to get on to more clips and articles. Oh yes, still lots more to get through. Just do some housekeeping here. Spoilt for choice. Let's just do a quick take on this one. If you are from the UK, you've probably heard a bit about this story in the last couple of days. And, well, the whole thing just sort of happened in 48 hours. Let's see what's happening with the now former housing minister, who's resigned, stood down after being exposed. In a housing scandal. Because get this, people. She's the Minister for Homelessness, and she forcefully evicted her tenants and then put the rent up by £700 per month. And that's £700 sterling, which would be roughly in the area of $850-ish dollars, maybe. US dollars. And there she is, that's Rushanara Ali. And she was obviously accused of hypocrisy over the way she handled a rent increase on a house, which is in East London, by the way. They were on a fixed term contract, but then she relisted the house for a rent at a higher price within 6 months, which is something she's currently trying to outlaw under the Renters' Rights Bill. Yeah. Pretty quick skimming through this. But in the aftermath as well, like I said earlier, other MPs have been exposed as essentially not practicing what they preach. And we're not just talking about minor infringements here, we're talking about outright hypocrisy. For example, you've got Adrian Ramsey, who's running to be co-leader of the Green Party at the moment. Turns out, from a report by Politics Joe, I think it was, who first put this out earlier on, it was shared by Stats for Lefties, who I want to give a shout out to as well. But he's got £10,000 a month coming in as a landlord. Oh yes, 10k per month. Believe it or not. And there are a few shocking examples in there as well, and a few more. Shocker Adam was another. He's one of the new independent MPs, of course. He's the one who unseated Jonathan Ashworth in their Leicester seat. Because you'll remember, of course, Jonathan Ashworth was still getting a lot of television exposure despite losing his seat. But Shocker Adam was seldom, if ever, seen on the television, and I think only referred to in PMQs once or twice. Just having a quick look in the chat here, people. JK, is that Mr. Robespierre, who you, if you're referring to him, was that on a stream this evening, was it? Interesting. But I do know that he's previously been a critic of Corbyn's in the past. I won't get into ins and outs of that. Just a few final words on this article then. We will have to move on, because there's still lots to cram in this evening. Or tonight, I should say. Kevin Hollinrake was among other opposition politicians accusing Ali of staggering hypocrisy over the handling of property after she quit. He added, "It's right that she has done so, and the government follow our calls for her to go." Keir Starmer promised a government of integrity, but has instead presided over a government of hypocrisy and self-service. Well, we've had this so far, haven't we? We had the fella who punched another guy to the floor as well. This is the grown-ups. This is the adults in the room, people. So that's more or less it. Yeah. They're at least equal with the Tories, or if not worse, on this sort of thing. And it's only been just over a year. So yeah, turns out that just like the Tories, they've all got their hands in some very filthy affairs, has to be said. What do you think, Father Stack?
You dirty fecker.
Quite right. Politics needs cleaning up in this country. But who's going to do it? That's the question. Will we be taking that chance in 2029? One final thing on UK politics, I think, before we go overseas. Again, it's just very typical. And again, almost beyond parody, you know, you could see this happening in top political comedy. Rupert Lowe is involved in this one. He mistook a charity boat outing for a migrant dinghy, and then proceeded to throw himself onto social media without checking things. So let's see what's happening there. Should be up now. The screen doesn't want to reveal itself at the moment. I'm just going to try one more thing, and then we just might need another quick intervention from the technical team. Just excuse me one moment, good people. Phil, get downstairs, prep the primates. You could put the mic back on now, Phil. Okay, let's just give this another quick try. Let's see what I can do here. Got this. All over it. No, it doesn't want to know. 30 seconds, people. Be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. Or talk to yourselves. Doesn't matter.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on my left eye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the Ghoulies, and left a comment down below. Thank you.
All I'm saying, Phil, is if you're going to give a monkey a blowtorch, what do you expect to happen? I think we're back. Yes, we are back. Sorry about the brief delay. Let's just bring up that article now then. So there's Rupert's. Rupert's, how low can you go? So his knee-jerk reaction has more or less come back to bite him in the arse. So just off the Norfolk coast, he jumped onto Twitter and wrote, "Dinghies coming into Great Yarmouth right now," capital letters. The Coast Guard contacted the crew to confirm their identities, and it was revealed the boat contained a team of charity rowers attempting to travel from Land's End in Cornwall to John O'Groats in Caithness, which is basically the two extreme ends of Britain. I've been to Land's End, I've never been to John O'Groats, actually. A lot of people do travel between the two for charity and so on and so forth in like various manners, various ways. It's been a thing for a while, but these guys are rowing up the coast, and you've got to say that's a pretty what's the word I'm looking for? A pretty valiant endeavour. Must be really difficult. And then he alerted the authorities, apparently. 25 past 8 British Standard Time, British summertime. And then went back on social media. "Authorities alerted, and I'm currently chasing." If he's in hot pursuit. If these are illegal migrants, I will be using every tool at my disposal to ensure these individuals are deported. Enough is enough. Britain needs mass deportations. Now, capital letters. However, shortly before 20 to 7 on Friday, he explained that the unknown vessel was a false alarm. You tit. He said, "We received a huge number of urgent complaints from constituents. I make no apologies over being vigilant for my constituents. It's a national crisis. No mass deportations for the charity rowers, but we definitely need it for the illegal immigrants." So Chicken Licking here didn't turn out too well. He made a donation, I think it was £1,000, it says on the picture at the top there. And that's it. And the fact that this hyperbolic situation has been created, it affects people's perceptions. They're, invisible enemies to this extent. What's it like? In Jaws, there's a scene where he's sat looking out at sea and there are various things going on, but all he can think about is sharks, and there's like so many false alarms, you know. I think, yeah, at one point he ends up firing a gun into the air as well, and it's kind of like that. It's kind of the, but it's different, I guess, because in the film there was actually a shark out there. But as we all know, the enemy comes by private jet, not by small boats or dinghy. The article also reminds us that this is a former Reform MP, and he was expelled and made claims of threats towards its chairman, Zia Youssef, who is now also stood down, I believe, hasn't he? So the crew of 4, which included Mike Bates, who's a British record holder for rowing across the Atlantic solo. Wow! Rowing across the Atlantic solo. I'm not against fitness by any means, people, but I wouldn't fancy that. Yeah, well done. Record holder as well. And it gets pretty choppy out there in the old Atlantic. So they basically said they felt it was an almost vigilante style, how people watched and followed them down the beach. They were a bit freaked out by what was going on as word had gotten around. I'm surprised that Farage himself didn't show up for a pointing opportunity. Oh, that must have been why. Yeah, of course. Why didn't I think of that? Farage and Starmer must have showed up at the same time. The cars collided and they missed the whole thing whilst they were exchanging insurance details and whatnot. And I really, hand on heart, sincerely hope that neither of them sustained any injuries. Of course, that didn't actually happen, just to be very clear. I'm joking, of course. So they also added that people were on the shoreline, flashing torches at them. The Coast Guard were asking them questions. A police car arrived on the beach with its lights on, and they wondered how it managed to escalate that way. They thought it was ridiculous, and they're quite right. So they'd set off on the 25th of July and headed north into the Irish Sea before bad weather forced them to stop at Milford Haven, Pembrokeshire. Perhaps that was to do with Storm Floris. They turned around and returned to Land's End, and then started again in the other direction. That's, well, you'd be gutted, wouldn't you, really? This is pretty much the longest journey you can take domestically that way. And then you've got to turn around and start off again, going the long way round from where you set off. But they've raised more than £100,000 for charity and hope to raise even more, so very good deed there. Just finally, they added, we're rowing for hope, we're rowing to find a cure, and hopefully they'll raise £57 million, and they certainly will, if MPs keep talking about us. Oh yeah, so maybe it wasn't just an accident. No, I'm only joking. It was a genuine faux pas from Rupert Lowe, independent MP. Maybe check your facts before you dive straight onto social media next time, Rupert. Of course, this will actually be the final word on UK politics, just a poll. It was a couple of months or so ago now that I first put out a video about Ilford North and how Health Secretary Wes Streeting looks set to just be edged out by an independent candidate, Liam Mohammed, who was just 500 votes away from Wesley last time out. I'm just waiting for this to load up here. But now another poll has come out, and I think it does appear to reiterate that Liam Mohammed has joined the new party because, well, she's not mentioned, there's no independent on the poll now. It's been replaced by your party. And the leaders somewhat increased with that further backing from the new Corbyn Sultana-led Left Party. Take a look at this, people. They're going to absolutely wallop Wesley with... bearing in mind, they're at 40%, but bearing in mind, not a single membership card has even been printed yet. This is completely without precedence. They don't even have a manifesto. They haven't received a single membership application yet. They've not even named the party. And they're not just going to be edging past the current Secretary for Health. They're knocking him out the ballpark. Look at that, 40%, with Wesley down a further 14%, leaving him on par with the Tories. And bearing in mind this is supposed to be an air quotes safe Labour seat. And even a gain of 7% from Reform can't stop that from happening. Let's please see more of this in other seats as well. Did someone say Holborn St Pancras? Well, I just did. We all know whose seat that is. So I just scroll down a bit more there. Can't actually quite see that. There you go. Just here in the comments as well, they've also added, this is Stats for Lefties, by the way, another shout out to Stats for Lefties, definitely worth a follow on social media. Based on an average of 3 Your Party polls in July, which produced a national voting intention of, and these are the results, Reform would have a 31% victory, Labour 19%, equal with the Tories, Lib Dem 12, Your Party 10%, and the Greens on 6%. So who's this? Come on, really? Is this a Muslim constituency? safe to say that will definitely be on the ones to watch list again as we come up to the next election. I mean, there have been 2 polls that have surpassed 100,000. Sorry, not polls. Petitions that have surpassed 100,000 votes individually, calling for a general election. So maybe we won't have to wait until 2029 the way the weight of public opinion's going. Can you really see Keir Starmer skating on ice this thin for another 4 years, roughly? Not so sure about that. Just refresh the chat here, people, then we'll be moving on. Make sure you've hit thumbs up, please, people. The latest on the poll is that I still have it by 79%. A few bits about the latest in Gaza now. Of course, Netanyahu has now openly admitted that he wants to annex all of Gaza. The final few pockets are going to be put under immense siege. And when you see articles like this in the mainstream, it's you know, Israel's Gaza City plan means more misery for Palestinians and a big risk for Netanyahu. From everything that you'll hear, that you'll see, that you'll read, they're not emphasising or even mentioning the illegality of all of this. So a complete annexation, essentially. It's land theft. And again, they'll talk about military offensives and so on and so forth. And they just report it, well, you know, Israel have decided that they're gonna siege all of Gaza, as though they have that right to do so, and it's just been some completely, you know, benign decision that isn't an illegal occupation. It's just so casual the way they say it. And look at the numbers. We're talking about 1 million people that's in Gaza City alone. You've got other pockets there. You've got Khan Yunis is another one of the small areas that isn't completely militarized at the moment. That is from what is left of Gaza, which is very, very little indeed. And we did see those devastating aerial shots on the last live stream as well, didn't we? as this article highlights. In one example here, people have spent nearly a year away from their homes, driven from one location to another, living in increasingly desperate conditions. When they returned to the north, many of them found their homes destroyed and their neighbourhoods erased, but they settled down where they could, believing the war might finally be over. I won't play the video there, but you can just see from that still frame the barren landscape. They've been herded like cattle and deliberately targeted. So what is the bullshit that they think the world's going to swallow in allowing this to happen? Well, they say that their primary goal, of course, is to get all of the remaining hostages back, as well as eradicate Hamas, who they don't want to have anything to do with governing Palestine anymore. They've said that about pretty much every atrocity that they've committed in the last 2 years. However, we're going to hear from someone on the inside now, a whistleblower. Because the thing is, even within active members of the IDF, there are a lot of whistleblowers who sell the story. They do it out of pure corruption, whether they're supposed to or not, members of the military, selling stories to journalists and so on and so forth. This isn't one such example. This is a former member, but just check this out, because it really is revelatory in the sense that, as we know, there have been deals on the table that would guarantee those conditions I just mentioned, that would supposedly satisfy Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel all of the hostages back, Hamas having no government control over Palestine. It's been on the table not once, but twice. Yes, people. And of all places, this has come out on Piers Morgan's show. So watch again is for the, I think this will be the second time in a row. It is a clip from his show, but you don't hear a peep from him. He is allowing the truth to be heard without interruption, which is, again, bizarre, as he has completely changed his own narrative on the subject, although, as we've said before, it's not out of some sort of moral awakening, but more or less just for the views. But that's not why I'm raising this video. It's about what this guest has to say, and when one of the Zionists tries to interrupt him, he's having none of it. Check this out though, people. Remember what I said. That deal has been on the table not once but twice, and Israel have destroyed those talks.
I am not anti-Israel, but my government is committing war crimes in Gaza. And the arguments that were presented by Brooke belong in the garbage bin of history. It's an intellectual insult, the kind of things that we heard here, that insinuate that there's no such thing as a Palestinian people when there are 7 million Palestinians living between the river and the sea? How can you deny the existence of a people, 7 million people who call themselves, excuse me, let me talk. What Israel is doing should not be tolerated by the Israeli public, nor by anyone in the entire world. This war has to end. Mustafa Barghouti was 100% right that Hamas has given in writing, in English and in Arabic. I received from them in August of last year a commitment to end the war and return all the hostages. And then there was more than 100 hostages that they were holding. But they demand an end to the war. They demand that Israel withdraw from Gaza. They demand a release of Palestinian prisoners. And they demand that humanitarian aid go into Gaza. They also added in writing, twice I've received from them in Arabic, that Hamas will not govern Gaza. Now, the big
I'm just going to play the last part of that again, because yes, you did hear it correctly. This is someone who was directly involved with those talks. He had the agreements on his desk personally. You'll have to forgive me, I'm not aware of the name of this individual, but he knows because he was there, and you can't debunk that, really. You can't call that propaganda. So again, those conditions, all of the hostages, and as he pointed out, there were 100 of them at the time, the first time this offer was on the table, all of those to be returned, Hamas to have no part in governing Gaza, and also for aid as well. But this man knows, as well as somebody else, who I'm going to bring on in a radio interview after this, they know that the hostages are just being used as pawns, that Netanyahu doesn't care for them as citizens, as people. He's using them as political pawns, and he's refused chances to get them back. Not once, but at least twice.
He was 100% right that Hamas has given in writing, in English and in Arabic. I received from them in August of last year a commitment to end the war and return all the hostages. And then there was more than 100 hostages that they were holding. But they demand an end to the war. They demand that Israel withdraw from Gaza. They demand a release of Palestinian prisoners. And they demand that humanitarian aid go into Gaza. They also added in writing, twice I've received from them in Arabic, that Hamas will not govern Gaza. Now, the big
yes, indeed, more people from inside Israel are beginning to speak out. That was another good example there. I'll just quickly play that clip from the last live stream as well about the protest at the border. Again, these are Israeli citizens. 6 of them were arrested for protesting the famine and using of hunger and starvation as a weapon. And then another example again from a former IDF member, a former captain, in fact, who currently faces imprisonment for refusing to serve, and he's not an exceptional example either. There are many other examples like him. So just a quick reminder about what happened at the border first, and then I'll get on to that interview.
My name is Itamar Greenberg. I am a human rights activist at Refusnik. We are here today to march to Gaza to try to break the siege on the Palestinian people to Gaza and stop the genocide. Shalom! Shivyon!
קדימה, תעלו למדרכה, תודה.
אני פה עם זינדה אחת עם...
that was earlier this week at the border. I'll go into this radio interview next. This was from yesterday. I've managed to find the full thing. And if you haven't heard this story yet, definitely worth a listen. Just get this queued up. I know you're hitting that thumbs up button as I speak, people. I think just about there. That's it. Can't be background music, otherwise it'll all sound a bit funny. I think I've got the right spot. This was on PM, which I think is like a daily news show on Radio 4, so from yesterday. Alright, let's hear the story.
Served as a captain in Israel's 933rd Nahal Brigade. He served 270 days as a reservist since the 7th of October attack, but in May this year, he found himself sentenced to 20 days in a military prison for refusing to report for duty. I spoke to him yesterday in Tel Aviv, and he started off by telling me about his experiences serving in Lebanon last year, and in particular, an incident where he narrowly avoided a Hezbollah bullet.
It was supposed to be our last day there. We found ourselves in a close combat with two members of Hezbollah in a house in a village called Aitarun. They surprised us from a small room inside this house, and we found ourselves meters away from them. Few shots were shot from the room where the Hezbollah members were. One of them hit the soldier who was right next to me, one of my soldiers, and another bullet hit my helmet. Actually, the flashlight that is on my helmet, so 5 centimeters from my head.
So we remember from those exchanges with Lebanon, of course, this was something entirely different from essentially bullying, picking on Palestinian civilians. I should say, although obviously the IDF taking on Hamas is a completely different style of sort of guerrilla warfare. But my point is that once they came up against an actual army itself, they took a lot more of a battering than they were expecting. And this is where this former captain, decided he'd had enough because of the devastating injuries to his colleagues, as well as almost taking one in the head himself, as you heard there. But still strongly condemning this. It's good that people like this do speak out, but you really can't consider them as heroes by any stretch of the imagination from the atrocious things that they've done themselves.
So, I mean, after that kind of experience, one would assume that you would be welcomed back to Israel to a hero's welcome. And instead, now we're talking to you. You are a lightning rod of controversy. Indeed, you are a man who has been sentenced to military prison because now you say you will not serve again. And just tell us, what is your thinking and what has brought you to that?
Exactly. After we were called again for the fourth time during this war, I decided to stop serving. And it's mainly because in last March, we were still in a ceasefire, the last ceasefire we had during this war. And the second part was supposed to be the end of the war and the freedom to all hostages. And our government decided not to go to the second part, even though it was already signed, to stop the ceasefire and to go back to war. After this decision, it was clear for me that they are not willing to bring the hostages back. And this is only an excuse for them to keep the war going on forever, firstly for their political survival, because they know if the war will end, they'll have to go to elections. So I decided that I cannot serve anymore if this is where this war is going.
And how did those around you respond? We know that you were sentenced to 20 days in a military prison for saying, I'm not going to serve in Gaza.
My family and friends were mainly stressed or anxious because they were frightened for me because none of them were in the military prison. So they were afraid it will be a tough time. My friends from the military, some of them were really supportive. Even I sent and ask for a kind of a pardon. In Israel, you can ask from a general to release you from prison earlier. And I sent a letter, and they joined my letter with independent letters they wrote, and they asked him to set me free. Some of them did not agree with me, and there were some who did not fully agree with my decision, but they really supported me because they thought that the sentence and the punishment isn't right because I'm a soldier and because my goals are led by morally, even patriotic ideas.
But I'm sure you would have faced...
Just before the next question, I don't think you can entirely say that about the IDF, really. And we're not talking about a private here, we're talking about a captain. Let's be honest, so he will have issued orders, a great number of orders as well, with that rank. But you can't really think of a situation where Israel's ever had the moral high ground. And again, I do have to remind viewers that they do have conscription, national service in Israel, something that we don't have anymore in the UK.
Some voices saying, look, if the hostages, there's no chance of them being freed unless we go and free them. That certainly is the position of the Israeli government. And that if you do care about the hostages, that is your duty.
In actual fact, the opposite is true. This puts the hostages at even further risk. It has been confirmed that Israel have killed some of the hostages in airstrikes already. An unconfirmed number, but that has definitely happened. And it's only going to happen again if these illegal plans go ahead, because I'll give it the proper title, even if the BBC or other platforms won't do that, won't speak the truth. But this illegal annexation isn't going to do the hostages any good whatsoever. The ones that they've at least twice refused to have back.
There are voices like this in Israel right now still, but according to the polls, we can see that this is a minority.
You're a member of this group, Soldiers for the Hostages. I mean, just how big is this group? How much of a minority position is yours?
This group consists of 350 soldiers who signed the letter. We know about more few hundred, at least, maybe thousands, that are refusing to serve. We call it gray refusement, because instead of doing it publicly and signing a letter, they are telling their commanders that they can't serve because of medical or mental issues, but actually they are refusing because they are not willing to serve anymore. So we are not counting them.
Have you had colleagues say to you, Ron, you're a soldier, we are here to follow orders, that's what we do, and by not following orders, by saying you're not going to fight, you weaken the position of Israel? I mean, is that something that you face, and what do you say if you're asked that question?
Is she writing these questions herself? Probably not. I suspect not. But ultimately, if any soldier in any army in the world is aware that they're breaking international law, the Geneva Convention, for example, then they are duty-bound by that law not to carry it out. That's why they were created in the first place. It essentially, again in the post-World War II era, eradicated any kind of legal defence based on simply following orders, which is an excuse that many at the Nuremberg trial used. So if you know it's illegal, I'm pretty sure if soldiers are properly trained, they should know that shooting kids in the face is, then they should refuse. So that question coming from a professional journalist, to me, just sort of reeks of it being planted by certain influences that begin with a Z.
Question.
Yes, it is something that I face. We have a really good answer for this argument. We have a sentence that is called an illegal command. And this is a command that risks the lives of people who are not enemies, not like military members. So the commands in this war in the Gaza Strip are clearly illegal commands because there is no large Israeli interest in this war. There are no security reasons that can explain the going war. Soldiers keep on dying, the hostages keep on dying, and the third one is the humanitarian crisis in Gaza Strip and the enormous amounts of people who are dying there because of a lack of food and medical supply, and so on and so on.
Your government has said, and Benjamin Netanyahu has said, that this doesn't end until Hamas ends. Are you saying that actually Hamas, forget about that, they're the people you need to negotiate with, and if need be, they're the people that you're going to have to live alongside?
This ongoing war is not going to destroy Hamas, because the soldiers, my friends that are still serving in Gaza, they are telling me that they are not fighting really Hamas right now. They are not seeing any member of Hamas. They can't really keep on fighting through the tunnels right now. And I must say, in the long term, as I see it as a person who lives in Israel, there are 15 million people that are living here right now. Half of them are Jews, half of them are Palestinians. I don't see how anybody is going anywhere. So if we want to live in security, we cannot fight forever and try to destroy Hamas, which is not working. We have to go to an agreement someday. So now is the time to start working on it.
That's Ron Feiner, who used to be a captain with the IDF. It is.
Well, somewhat refreshing to hear those opinions, from the inside. Oh, sorry, what does that? You have the screen audio up and the background music. It seems to overlap. Sorry about that. What was I saying? Yeah, he mentioned 350 current members with potentially hundreds or thousands more, and I'm sure that they've got a lot on their consciences. I certainly hope that they do. But it's just more evidence of what appears to be not just international condemnation, but it's growing from within. And quite a few people think this is ultimately what's going to be required to bring down Netanyahu, who, let's be honest, is the head of a despotic state at this point. Always has been, really. Let me just see if I've got anything else queued up on that issue. Oh, only that Keith has thrown in his 2 cents, and again, like the articles and so on and so forth, the language that is used or isn't used, again, is just quickly worth highlighting, because personally I can't see things like this as proper condemnation. And this is the second or third headline that I've shown about these plans, and that word is missing again. Illegal. Israel's illegal plan to take over Gaza City should be the headline, or at least, you know, murderous, treacherous. But Keith himself has described it with one word: wrong. And, well, more than one word. He says it's wrong and will only bring more bloodshed. Mr. Former Director of Public Prosecutions has somewhat of a selective understanding of international law, of course. Because when you've really backed yourself into the corner that he has, to admit that what you helped Israel do was illegal is tantamount to effectively, literally owning up to breaking such crimes, breaking such laws. So a really tame, soft response, yeah, from Keith. Not, you know, we won't stand for this, as if it was any other country, you know. We won't stand for this, and our country has a blah blah strong tradition standing up for XYZ values. But no, just oh, it's, you know, it's wrong. What do you think? What do you think about the complete annexation of a state? It's the one that you're apparently planning on recognising as a state. Oh no, just oh no. Ah, good. Someone who does know what they're talking about. Stephen Flynn said words of condemnation aren't anywhere near enough. If we have any hope of stopping this genocide, strong actions are desperately needed now. I won't do the accent with the rolling R's. Green Party Foreign Affairs spokeswoman and co-leader candidate Ellie Chown said Netanyahu's brutal plan to take control of Gaza is yet another declaration of intent to commit war crimes and will lead to untold catastrophic civilian suffering. The UK must do far more than simply express disapproval. Then they just remind us about Lammy's meeting with Vance, but we've already been all over that. Here's just a quick reminder of these few remaining pockets. So within North Gaza, which is under military control, you have 310,000 people. The biggest population or grouping of population is in Gaza City currently, and that's 740,000 people. Deir el-Balah is at 400,000, with Khan Yunis 620. The small pocket of Rafah still contains some 30,000 people. And I'm not just taken aback by those numbers, but also the consideration that you have to assume in all other areas, apart from the 5 that are named here, that there is nobody. The numbers are zero because they've been wiped out. That's a disturbing thought, and now Netanyahu's got his beady eyes on these remaining pockets. And just circling back around to where we began before we finish on that specific part of the topic. This has been Netanyahu's intent all along. This isn't unpredictable circumstances have led to this. It's been the plan all along. You can't dare deny it, because he even made that ludicrous presentation at the United Nations with the maps and all of that stuff that showed the complete annexation of Gaza and sections of other countries, including the aforementioned Lebanon as well. The guy's just a complete and utter nutbar. And it's all on purpose. Not a single part of it has been by accident.
Whoopsie daisy!
Okay, people. Also, as we know, internationally, a lot of people are standing up against this now. We've seen how that's happening from within Israel, but now just the latest on what's happening at the moment and what's coming up over the weekend concerning protests. I'm going to begin with a positive update on a story I featured quite recently. Do you remember the protest by the cast member at the Royal Opera House during the performance of the Troubadour, Il Trovatore? Let's see what's happening there, people. Because there has been a development. Oh, just a sec, I'll just get rid of any ads and whatnot, and not signing up for stuff while I'm on the live stream at least. Just want to give a shout out to the website itself. This is Artists for Palestine. Bring this update. I'll read this out because it's sort of light grey lettering on a white background, which is perhaps a bit tricky to make out. So 182 members of the Royal Ballet and Opera say that they reject any future performances in Israel, and they stand in solidarity with the performer who protested with the Palestinian flag, Daniel. Apologies, I've forgotten his last name, but that was his first name, Daniel. We saw him wrestling with the director of the Royal Opera House as well. But the CEO has announced a decision to cancel the 2026 production in Israel. It appears, I would guess, that the CEO goes above the director's head, so they were going to be doing a run of Tosca at the INO in Tel Aviv, but the website of the INO has now dropped all reference to the Royal Opera House. Artists for Palestine has learned that Alex Beard told staff on the 1st of August that he made the decision that the new production will not be going to Israel. So the staff include dancers, singers, musicians and staff across artistic, creative, technical and administrative departments, and they say they reject any current or future performances in Israel and demand that the organisation withhold productions from institutions that legitimise and economically support a state engaged in the mass killing of civilians. BDS people. Never before have workers at one of Britain's most elite cultural institutions risen up in such numbers to demand an end to complicity with grave war crimes and for a boycott of Israeli institutions that whitewash or justify them. Never before has the management of such an institution responded with immediate action, and a positive action at that. It's got to be said. A spokesperson for Artists for Palestine UK said, "This is a welcome breakthrough for institutional accountability and a victory for grassroots organising across the cultural sector too. Many institutions faced with genocide have opted for silence or worse. The RBO's staff's open letter is an essential ethic uprising against this refusal to speak out. Since the onset of Israel's genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, British artists and writers, cultural workers and media professionals have mobilised to pressure institutions to cut links of complicity. Some have responded with repression and censorship, yet a growing number are recognising their ethical and legal obligation to do no harm to the Palestinian struggle for freedom." So do check out artistsforpalestine.org.uk. Unprecedented. Good stuff, people. Solidarity with those performers. Can we get some more flags and watermelons in the chat, please? Good people. And that wasn't the only protest that's been in the news recently, of course. Defend Our Juries are going to be taking action again tomorrow. I can't make the trip to London myself. I won't go into reasons why. However, I do know a great number of people who will be taking part in this demonstration. At the moment, I'm coming to you on this stream, over 600 people have confirmed that they'll be taking part in this massive demo. For anyone who's not familiar, it concerns the prescription of PAL action by Yvette Cooper. So that's just a reminder. But since I last came to you on a live stream, people, in a very underhanded fashion, the website where people go to show support or to get involved was taken down yesterday evening. Quite diabolical, you do have to say. But I'll just put I think I've still got it here. Yeah, for anyone who... as I said, I do know a good few people who are going to be down there. And whilst I can't get there myself, one of them has actually promised to do an interview with us, which hopefully I'll be able to bring you on the Sunday live stream this week. So an exclusive insight to come up on the channel, people. Oh yes, your host is quite well connected. But also tomorrow sees the day of the National March as well. Just do a quick plug for that. So that starts at noon, and it's going to go from Russell Square and finish at Downing Street. Hopefully things won't get too chaotic down there with the DOJ thing and the National March happening at the same time. But if you are in London and you want to go and show your support and solidarity with Gaza, then that's the place to be. 12 noon at Russell Square. And another plug for something that's even closer to home, actually taking place here in Manchester a little bit later on in the year. This is the World Transformed, and do check this great event that's being put together, people. If you are in the Greater Manchester area, definitely recommend you check this out. That's coming to Manchester, well, Hume, if you want to be specific, for any Manx out there.
This October, something big is coming to Manchester. Across 4 packed days, Hume will turn into a national hub for radical ideas, culture and action. Workshops, assemblies, training and real strategy for the struggles we face right now. Solidarity with Palestine, fighting gentrification, organising our workplaces and building political power. But it's not just politics. It's music, art, exhibitions, and the kind of culture that keeps our movements alive. It's where people from across Britain and beyond come together to debate, to dream, and to organise. Something is stirring across the country. From the ashes, a new left is emerging. Sometimes, history needs a push. This is the World Transformed 2025. Be there.
Okay, so I've just pause that there to remind you of the dates. That's between October 9th and the 12th inclusive in Hume here in Manchester. So if you're around these parts, do check it out. Just thought I'd throw that one your way. I'll keep that, and I'll do a few more plugs for that as we get closer to the event itself. Good stuff. Always good to see stuff like that happening here where the stream's being brought to you from this evening, people. But as you rightly point out there in the chat, Doc, tomorrow is today, as we just crept a few minutes past midnight, getting towards the end of the stream here this evening. But I do just quickly want to finish on the topic of protest by wishing everybody well who's getting out there tomorrow, whether it's with Defend Our Juries or whether you're part of the National March or any other protest. In fact, there was another one taking place in Manchester today against the far right, a counter-protest in Altrincham. So I could be bringing you some footage from that on Sunday as well, something to look forward to, people. Alright, just while I'm going to give another shout out to all the members on the channel, make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. If you can, please, people, that'd be awesome. Just got to remove the chat. There we go. Yeah, lots of ways that you can support the channel. Hit thumbs up, add a comment if you're watching back later on, give us a share around your social media. What a great audience we've got here on the channel. I'm going to show some solidarity with other YouTubers with a raid. Let's just have a scan of who might be around. I suspect possibly a channel from the States at this hour. Thanks again, everybody. Solidari-Tea. Oh well, not really spoilt for choice. I'll just send you into Al Jazeera if you want, for anybody who's watching live. Who knows, they might give us a shout out for the raid. Although that's a bit of a long shot. The poll is over, people, and it is overwhelmingly conclusive that ayes have it. You believe that your party will win more seats than the Conservatives at the next general election. I have to say, I'm probably definitely in agreement with you there. So the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Unlock. Thanks for your votes there, people. Essentially, I believe the Tories are just going to be utterly dead and buried by then. No one will want to vote for whoever's left who hasn't defected to reform or whatever. And I'm pretty confident that whatever name your party has by that point will get more seats. Yeah. I'm not going to stick my neck out and say a minimum number of how many I think they'll get at this point, but I will at some stage. Don't want to risk my reputation. Right, that brings things to a close here on the Brews at 10, people. I'll be back with you on Sunday for the Sunday live stream on Socialist Sunday, of course. But until then, take care, everybody. My Lefty, I'll be seeing you soon. Free Palestine and power to the people.